Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? And just wanted to say thank you for watching. Got a nice little sunny dot, and hope everyone had a happy and blessed Easter. I've been wanting to talk about this earlier, but with all the stuff going on with Donald Trump's indictment, it's been a little hard to focus on other things. But not too long ago, Ron DeSantis, he's the governor of Florida, as you know, paid a visit to New York as well. And he went to the, I believe it was the Cradle of Aviation Museum, where he gave a brief talk. I didn't watch the talk itself, because I've heard him speak, and quite frankly, I don't follow his fascist ways, which I'll get into. So I didn't even want to waste my time with the speech. But on the news, I saw that some people listened to him, and mostly like younger viewers found it to think he might be actually a pretty decent leader. Now, in 2024, he's maybe hinted, but he's never outright said he's going to run for president in 24. I think he's kind of hedging his bets how well he'll do against Trump, who also hints who definitely said he was going to run for president in 24 to do a second run as president. That's assuming his legal entanglements don't get the best of him, but I'm not going to speculate about that. But here's what I say, and I noticed that the brief snippet I saw of him was he regarded it as the Florida blueprint, like somehow his plan and his ways of governing are somehow suitable for the entire country, which I think could be one of the biggest mistakes we have by nominating this person as president of the United States. A mistake that most conservatives and Republicans would end up regretting for the next 4 years, which I'll explain. Because it goes to the way he does govern. And that tells you a lot. Here's some of examples of some of the things that he's done, which mostly aren't really related to any positive or good policy for the people of Florida, let alone the country. Okay? He had that one stunt, which I talked about, where he shipped migrants to Martha's Vineyard, without any notice or any regard for the safety of these people. Migrants who, by the way, immigrated to the United States legally. But yet he thought it best to just ship him out of Florida as some political stunt, which kind of backfired because the governor of Massachusetts and the locals at Martha's Vineyard were way more humane towards these people. And, it got DeSantis a lot of backlash. In a similar stunt, he staged the arrest of people who, because of certain criminal convictions, couldn't vote, but supposedly they were informed that they could vote. And when they did, shortly afterwards, they were arrested in this public televised event, just so, once again, Ron DeSantis could score a few brownie points. So you have a man who is willing to use the lives of people and compromise the safety of people, Americans, by the way, for the sake of, as a PR stunt to get, score some political points. Is that really a person you see as a leader? Because that is an act of cruelty. Cruelty is not the type of thing you find in good leaders within our history. It is certainly not patriotic. It is the type of behavior you see in authoritarians and in fascism. This shows a man who does not have a conscience and who does not know how to show compassion, especially for the people that he is governing over, which would include those migrants and those voters. So, here, because Disney had spoken out against his Don't Say Gay bill, which unfairly targets the LGBTQ community, he's been having a little back and forth. I don't remember the exact specifics, but he did away with a certain tax exemption that Disney has, and, Disney's been waging war back. Here would be my simple question to him. Why are you worried about Disney? Why aren't you supporting the people of Florida? That is your job. That is what you are supposed to do. If you were the president of the United States, that would be your job as well, only it wouldn't be for one state, it would be for the entire country. Now, if you're one who gets into petty squabbles over corporations because they disagree with some of these, unfair and cruel policies that you're pushing, well, that goes with the territory. If anything, a smart leader would know how to defend it and do the right thing. But then again, a humane, smart leader wouldn't put out a Don't Say Gay bill like that to begin with. There are other ways of solving the problem, and don't think for a second it's about care for children. It's about bigotry, which is what DeSantis is. He is a liar, he is a racist, he is an absolute bigot. What else do we got? Oh, in addition to book bannings, and senseless talk against wokeness. That was one of his speech where he won as governor not too long ago, which I gotta admit, he won by an overwhelming majority. It wasn't like a tight race, which makes me wonder to the people of Florida, what the hell are you thinking? Okay, haven't you figured out this guy isn't in support of you? I'll get to that some more, just so you want more proof. Book banning, that's unconstitutional. Before he said it about, opposed to grooming of children, but he is targeted books which talks about inclusivity, that are anti-racist, that try and educate children and be more accepting of all races. Well, clearly he's against that. But please, by all means, explain to me why you think Ron DeSantis isn't a racist or a bigot. Take all the time you need. And in doing some of his press talks, like Donald Trump, he has demonstrated himself to be an actual bully and a coward. Yeah, when he's got, all the talking points on his side, or all the people on his side, yeah, he's all too quick to attack a reporter, and say something stupid, just for the sake of being cruel, which is more a demonstration of his ignorance. But I've seen him on interviews, and when he's done debates, he pretty much cowers down because he doesn't have that leverage or that, that superior force on his side. And like any other bully, when faced with a superior opponent or odds that he knows he can't beat, he backs down like a whipped dog that he is. In fact, a lot of his decisions have very little to do with policy. Let's talk about some of those things. Here's one of a big issue in Florida that is going around. This I did do some operated research on some independent media. It turns out Florida has a severe housing crisis with the costs that are increasing for both housing and rent. And at one point he blamed Biden, through that, even though, what else is he going to do? Now, real estate companies have donated a lot to his campaign, and I don't believe in, the whole they did something, so he had to do something for the real estate companies for the benefit. I'm saying, what is he doing to help bring costs down for the citizens of Florida? And little to nothing. No big surprise there. You would think if he really cares about Florida, he would do something about that. Okay? He recently signed a bill allowing people to carry a concealed weapon without a license or permit. They don't really have to undergo any training. What's the sense in that? And this has happened recently with some of the shootings that's been going on. Most Floridians are opposed to this, which again, he doesn't really seem to care about kids and about school shootings, but by all means, I know some of you will try and make that argument. When he signed that bill, there were no children there present, but in the photo op, supposedly there were members of the NRA that were standing there. I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. So, hey, like so many other Republicans, he likes that blood money, okay? Which goes to show, again, he does not care about kids. So this whole thing about book banning and trying to, change the education there, he's not doing it for the benefit of the people. He's doing it to uphold his bigotry. That's all. He's been opposed to legalizing marijuana. Now, me personally, I don't think that's a big thing. But a lot of Floridians are in favor of it, the vast majority. But to him, supposedly, he doesn't like the smell of it. Honestly, I don't even care. But again, that goes to show that he's not really thinking about what the Floridians want, what the majority of Florida wants. Again, to me, that's just his agenda. That's probably the least of everything going on there, but you kind of get the idea. And he supported the abortion ban after 6 weeks, with no exceptions to rape or incest. Well, like so many other conservatives, since the Supreme Court undid R. V. Wade, foolishly so, now he's on board with that. It used to be 15 weeks, but now he reduced it down to 6 weeks. And again, no exceptions to rape or incest. He hasn't gone as far, to my knowledge, to making arrests for people who leave the state to get abortions in states that are more friendly, that aren't so strict on abortion access. But again, he doesn't care about the rights of women. Doesn't care about women in general. And most of the people of Florida, again, are opposed to that as well. And one of his big moves that he's been doing, which is getting well publicized, is some of the public colleges in Florida. He is prohibiting the support of activities that promote diversity, inclusion, and critical race theory. Why? What's wrong with that? How is that tampering with the education of college students, doing anything good for the people of Florida? Okay? I bet you wouldn't be able to define woke or critical race theory if you asked him. And once again, most of the people of Florida are opposed to what he's doing. And yet he won by overwhelming majority, which some have concluded that there is a serious disconnect with the people of Florida and, how they view this guy. He is not a man for the people. He's only out for his own hateful agendas. He does not care about the people of Florida. And his speech in New York, he comments on the New York state tax. Well, given his fascist and authoritarian ways, if somebody would say to me, Chris, if he were running for president of the United States, which I would obviously vote against him and encourage others to do so, if somebody would say to me, we could guarantee he'd lose the election and it would keep fascism out of America, but at a cost, your taxes would go up a little bit. You know what I would say? Go for it. Raise the taxes. To me, that is a very small price to pay for the sake of the American people. And the one thing I've talked about, this whole anti-woke thing, about this whole fascism that has been going on, not just in Florida, but in certain other states, because they're taking a note of this and trying to go off of it. The Florida blueprint. It's more like the fascist blueprint. The one thing history has taught us about fascism is that in the end, it eventually has a negative impact on everyone in some shape or form. Some greater than others, but for the most part, it definitely affects everyone. Doing away with books and inclusivity, trying to do away with diversity. It's the diversity that gives our country its strength, something he clearly does not believe in. But again, that is what you get when you deal with a bully, a coward, a racist, a bigot, a person who does not care about the American people. So, my feeling is this. I would say shame on those at the Cradle of Aviation Museum, the owners or the board members there that allowed this to happen. Does Ron DeSantis have a right to travel to other states and enjoy their hospitality and some of the sites? Absolutely. I have nothing against that. And I'm all for freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you have to cater to him. If he wants to go out on the street and give some speech or try and give some private press conference, let him do it in Florida. Don't come in here and bring it to New York. The same way in New York City, they reacted towards Marjorie Taylor Greene when she tried to come in with her hate speech, claiming it was just a peaceful protest. She was there for an agenda to spread her hate and her bigotry. Ron DeSantis is no different. I don't care what he says about the property tax. I don't care about his, background in the military. Duly noted. But that doesn't excuse fascism and cruelty. That does not excuse poor leadership. And it just, like I said, clearly shows that if he were to become president of the United States, you can bet your bottom dollar that he would use his presidential platform and powers to spread that hatred. To do it now, not just in the state of Florida, but nationwide. And if you think it would just stop with just books, he would find other ways to target LGBTQs and members of the trans community. He's not there to solve problems, he's there to spread his hate. He would probably find ways to also attack migrants. If he's willing to do political stunts like that, to wow his fan base, you can bet he's going to do other things as well that are, against immigration. That is just pretty much attacking the civil rights of people, specific people. I don't know what his religious views are. I've never heard him talk about anything like that. But assuming if he won the election, if he ran and Trump didn't, you can bet some of the Trump sycophants like Boebert, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they'd be on all board with this guy. And they'd probably encourage him to push white Christian nationalism. Because, freedom of religion, we don't need that. Just like we don't need books and education. We don't want to talk about racism or critical race theory. We don't want the white people to feel bad. We want to do away with all the black history. We don't need it. Yes, he's done that as well. And he would continue to strip away women's rights, healthcare and abortion access. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me one bit, and this is speculation, if he were to do away with a women's right to vote. He too also believes in voter suppression. Why? Because the more people that vote, the less he has a chance of winning. So some of you who watched his speech on the news or actually attended that event at the Cradle Aviation Museum might have been slightly dazzled. Make no mistake, that is all just a front. And in the end, he is not going to do anything for the American people. He's not going to do anything for you or your families. And if you allow that fascism to spread, you're going to regret it for the next 4 years, and sooner or later, it's going to affect you. You may say to yourself, well, I'm not trans, I'm not African American, I'm white Caucasian. I'm a Christian or I'm a Catholic, so I should be fine. Maybe in the beginning, but after a while, fascism has a way of affecting everyone, and not in the good way. And history has shown us that time and time again. And don't think for 1 second DeSantis is going to suddenly change or suddenly take a more humanitarian approach to America. You know what I say to DeSantis? If you're watching this, you can take your little blueprint and you know exactly where you can stick it. Because if you do run, I don't think you're going to make the primary. And if you do, you can bet myself and a majority of the Americans are going to vote against you. Because we see through all your BS. You are a liar and a coward. And you know what? You don't even deserve to be governor, let alone president. So we shall just have to wait and see what happens in 2024. I really hope you understand, because it's important you do, because these are not threats or things that are happening in our country to be taken lightly, since other states are trying to take it on board, which is also why I talk about the importance of getting out and voting, no matter how difficult it is. If you're in a state or an area or a district where they've got restrictions making it difficult, do what you can to get past those hurdles, because in the end, it eventually falls down to the voters, to us. So you can either vote people like DeSantis out, send a message that he is not welcome or his cruelty, or you can do nothing, or actually try and support him and just watch how wrong you really are. So, again, I really hope you understand. And I thank you again for watching.